state we are in and what we might want to get back to. What worked for us is what we are trying to rediscover perhaps in the Dharmarajya project. So give us a glimpse of how might be, I mean, weren't Rajas taking care of people, building things, building homes for them, providing for people, or is
No,
not
Rajas
the
never
role
did
of-
it directly.
Never did.
Rajas never did it directly. So whatever the concept of social welfare today we have is, it has its roots in Western theories.
Okay.
So, for example, how West saw human being, how we saw human being, how West addressed the economic problems it had, how we solve those problems. A proper understanding of these two will make you understand why we are doing this project at all. So, over the years, what West has created is an economic culture.
Economic culture.
What we are proposing is a cultural economy. What we always had and what we are proposing today is also cultural economy. How do these two differ? That these two differ in a large extent. Say, for example, in economic culture, everything is centered around economy. Everything is measured in terms of money. Everything is measured in terms of the utility it provides. Rather, it becomes completely oblivious of aesthetics a person as an individual always pursues.
Correct.
So, for example, if I have to put it this way, say A.R. Rahman is the best music director. Of course, he is one of the best, but not for the kind of music he provides, but because he charges more money. He is the most sought after and is more paid. Again, in terms of money, you measure the success of a musician. And temple is a revenue generating source. It is not a cultural enriching center anymore. That is how you pit one Shirdi against the Tirumala and how much hundi is this collecting. IPL, which is a sport, IPL is measured in terms of the valuation it generates, in terms of revenue it generates, not for the cricketing genius it produces. So every aspect of life has been measured only in terms of money.
Entire countries, entire people,
Exactly.
judgment, everything on how much you earn.
If you are successful, then you should be rich. Only rich are successful. So if you go to any aspiring youth and ask him who is your ideal, most of the times you hear the name of Ambani or Bill Gates because they are rich. Let me put it this way in a simple way. We have the richest god Kubera, but no one worships Kubera. This is not the land of God because we know the limitations of only being rich. But unfortunately, it has been imposed on us. Whereas in cultural economy, your economy is a byproduct of the culture you create. If I have to give an example, you build a temple. Around temple, there is lots of economic activity. Most of the people find their employment. They lead their livelihood. And similarly, you create so many festivals. No other civilization celebrates as many festivals as we do. And every festival is an economic activity. So, in a cultural economy, you build a culture, your focus is more on culture, your focus is more on enabling an individual to fulfill his potential. And as a result, the economy comes out. Whereas in economic culture, your main aim is to, so even today, a country's performance is measured in terms of GDP. We are aspiring $5 trillion GDP. We don't know whether after reaching $5 trillion GDP, every individual is happy. We cannot ensure or we cannot assure that. So this is the crux of the difference. Once we understand these differences, then we have to understand what actually led to these two principles, those two ideas.
And this whole difference at the root of it comes from the space that, and I'm reasserting this or re-asking this question, it comes from a space that we are basically divine beings on a journey of evolution of some sort of an evolution of separatedness to moksha, and that is the essence of who we are. And the worldview that a Hindu state needs to have is perhaps this as a key differentiator. Could you elaborate this a little bit more, please?
As you rightly pointed out, we are all aspiring. One say it is moksha, one say it is going back to where you have come from. Whichever it is. Our ancestors, our rishis gave it our Chaturveda Purushartha. We called it Dharma, Artha, Kama, and finally the moksha. But this moksha is again through fulfilling your Artha and Kama. So your artha is also part of attaining the moksha, what actually you are aspiring for. It cannot be a goal in itself. Artha at the most can be the means. So
Money as a tool instead of being a goal.
Exactly. So if we redefine the concept, or we start conceptualizing a human being like this, then our theories that evolve also reflect these ideas. Let me explain you like this, Rahulji. How does the modern economic theories, be it capitalist or Marxist, how do they view a human being? They say a human being essentially is a rational economic man. So the very definition of human
Rational economic man.
economic man. So what are we saying? So his existence is integrally intertwined with the economic activity he does or economic accomplishes he makes. Is it really the case? Does it imply, is it the case with all the rich people being happy? So of course West kept on evolving its theories. Say then they started saying that he is an economic man. At the same time, every human being seeks happiness. And how did they formulate their problem? So since every human being seeks happiness, I am taking this from S.N. Balagangadhara, who explained it brilliantly. If he dug deeper into their assumptions. So every human being seeks happiness. And how does happiness is arrived? Happiness is because a human has again, another definition the economists of Western economists give is a human being is a bundle of desires. So there are two aspects. There is an economic man, there is a human being who is full of desires. And with these two they combine, every human being seeks happiness. And happiness is achieved only when all the desires are fulfilled. But is it really possible? So they started making claims about human being, about happiness, about desires without getting deeper into that. How do we differ? How do we view a human being? So we also say the same thing. Every human being craves happiness. And there is a part of desires, there is a part of happiness. But we started defining everything minutely. So we have this story of Yayati, who takes up his son's youth and then starts to enjoy his world. And finally, one day he finally concludes, you can never satisfy these desires. It is as if you are pouring ghee into the house. If you satisfy one desire, it will lead to the other. So that is how our ancestors, even Manusmriti, which we despise so much these days, before getting into the practicalities, before getting into the suggestive mode, it first lays down a whole framework, how the creation is created, how the people have come, what human aspires. Then it defines what actually is we meant by desire. Sankalpa Mulaha Kamaiva Yajna. So you are there in the Sankalpa, I have understood you the desire, so I know how to deal with you.